Am I strong enough to bear the burdens that sometimes come living this thing called life? Am I wise enough to make the right decisions when I'm standing at the fork in the road? Sometimes I wonder and ponder, only to realize I'm not alone, and there's nothing I have to do on my own, because I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. Yes, I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. Will I have enough to do the things I need to do to take care of myself? Will I have the health of mind and body to live a life of grace and holiness? Sometimes I wonder and ponder, only to realize I'm not alone, and there's nothing I have to do on my own, because I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. Yes, I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. Yes, I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up.
Let's take a moment for prayer. If you would, just take a deep breath, close your eyes, feel your feet on the ground and your seat in your chairs, and just feel grounded. Because we know this place and this time, it's time for us to come together as community and come together to remember our wholeness, our oneness with God. To know that we are all connected in that same oneness. We are all children of God, each and every one of us. So in this time of franticness as we run around to get things done, take a moment to remember the true meaning of wholeness, oneness, love, giving, joy. And realize that every person that you pass on your path are brothers and sisters. Treat everyone kindly. Treat everyone as you would like to be treated. So in this day and this time, we are so grateful for all those who helped this Sunday service come together for all of us. Our beautiful music by Ken, our AV team, our ushers, our hospitality, and our practitioners. And we are especially grateful today for Dennise, who is stepping in for Reverend Jen so she can have a day off today. And we are blessed to be together as community, blessed to be together as brothers and sisters. So for all this and so much more, we are so very grateful as we say together, and so it is. Right? And we have some special quotes today. And the first one is from Jack Cornfield. The wholeness and freedom we seek is our true nature, who we really are. And from Sarah Von Brethnuck, if we are to flourish as creative beings, if we are to grow into wholeness, we must bloom wherever we are planted. And from our founder, the Honorary Dr. Ernest Holmes, the Spirit of God is an undivided and indivisible wholeness. It fills all time with its presence and all space with the activity of its thoughts. Everyone is an incarnation of God, and a unique incarnation at that. All are rooted in the one life.
The title for today's talk is Living as Wholeness. And last week, Reverend Jen talked about embracing our own wholeness. It was a beautiful talk. I agree with everything that she said. And I also love the way she tied in how prayer plays into that wholeness. Sometimes, though, we need a reminder, don't we? Every now and then we need that reminder that we are the place where God shows up. That's why I chose that song for Ken to play today. I have a Saturday morning playlist on my phone. Sometimes by the time I get to Saturday, I need some more fuel. Sunday is a big fuel day, but by the end of the week, I need some more fuel, and my Saturday morning playlist handles that for me. Because that song is perfect. I am the place where God shows up, and I know that. No matter what has gone on during the week, if I have become impatient with the foster children or with my mother, I'm still the place where God shows up. Does anyone else need a reminder like that? Every now and then? Because all of you are the place where God shows up too. Each and every one of us are that place where God shows up. Do you believe it? Yay. We're one step. We're done now. Do you believe that where you are, God is right now, living at the center of your being, breathing you, showing up as you, being herself as you? If we really are living in wholeness, we need to believe it, we need to accept it, we need to expect it. How are you doing with that? I'm better at it some days than others. I have my Saturday morning playlist. I have my affirmations around the house. I have 12 different bookshelves full of textbooks that will remind me who I am and what I am here to do, but actually who's doing it as me. But sometimes it's not enough. Sometimes the silence is the only thing that can remind me, even if it's just enough silence for a stoplight. But when I can turn inwards and recognize and commune with that Godness that is at the center of me, I can remember that I'm showing up and God is showing up as me. When I turn inward like that, all of the peace, all of the calm, all of the confidence that I need to move through whatever I'm going through shows up there for me. If I've taken a shortcut that morning and skipped my spiritual practice, it's kind of like skipping breakfast. And I can tend to get a little hangry during the day, and then I need to make that stoplight version of silence to get through. So how do we get back to that wholeness? How do we remind ourselves that we are whole even in our bad moments? Here comes that big scary word, the one nobody really likes to talk about, forgiveness. Right in that moment when you are not showing up as you would like to show up, the first thing we need to do is to stop and we need to forgive ourselves. And then we can take that moment to go within again and get reminded exactly who we are. Then we remember that we are individualized expressions of the divine. David Bohm says individuality is only possible if it unfolds from wholeness. The only way we can really be our true, honest, individual selves is if we are living from that wholeness and remembering that God is at our center. On our light side, our shadow side, our faithful side, and our sometimes doubting side, our patient side, and our side that's always lurking just below the surface, wanting more and quicker and better. We hear it often. It's all good because it's all God. To think or believe anything other than that is to believe in dualism. The observance of others as whole can only happen when we have released any sense of dualism, of otherness. In a word, oneness is the central teaching of the science of mind and spirit, and we must have a direct and deep experience of that truth. We must be concerted in this highest of spiritual principles. Let's dedicate ourselves to walking that walk of seeing the wholeness not only in ourselves, but in every face that we meet. Otherwise, we are just insincerely claiming wholeness and goodness for others. Let's go about the noble stretching and deep work of healing our own illusions of separateness. Then we can live from that wholeness, from a place where we know we are perfect just as we are, and we can know that everyone we meet is perfect just the way they are. We have all just affirmed that each of us is the place where God shows up, haven't we? And if I'm the place where God shows up, and you're the place where God shows up, each and every one of you, and if we've accepted that, and we are still that place, even when we aren't 100% proud of ourselves, we can accept that for everyone and everything else. People who believe differently than we do, people who have different political views. I saw a meme earlier this week that I think illustrates it perfectly. Being taught to avoid talking about politics and religion has led to a lack of understanding about politics and religion. What we should have been taught, what we should teach ourselves, is how to have civil conversations about those difficult subjects. It's very challenging, especially sometimes when it comes to politics and religion, and I believe that's so because we're so passionate about those things. But that doesn't excuse poor behavior, and it doesn't excuse seeing anyone else as other than the place where God is showing up. If that is who we are, God showing up, then all of those different beliefs, all of those different viewpoints are pieces and parts of the same exact thing. And it takes all of those different viewpoints and ideas and all of those different expressions to create the whole. So here's a short story they suggest to support this idea. The story of the magical soup stone. A mysterious stranger wanders into a village, and he claims that he has a magical stone that you can cook soup with again and again and again. Everyone is incredulous, not believing it. But to prove it, he puts it in a pot of boiling water. As the water is boiling, he declares, maybe some spices would make this a little bit better. So someone goes out and grabs some spices and throws it in the water. The bystanders are fascinated by this. Maybe some potatoes and some carrots would top it off just great. And someone brings the potatoes and carrots. And the soup is just about done when the stranger says, Maybe a bit of meat and some flour would just round this experience really well. And so forth. It goes on and on and on like that. The villagers are amazed. The most wonderful soup is prepared, and they have a great feast together, enjoying and celebrating the magical stone soup. We all hunger in some way. We sometimes think that we have too little, feeling scarcity of it in our lives. We forget that we are not alone, that there is a vast reservoir of God's life out there, of substance. We have all the ingredients to contribute to making the most amazing soup. In living our lives and recreating the facets of our experience, we can all contribute. In this spiritual community, we add all the love, the humor, the insights, wisdom, creativity, and most importantly, passion for what we believe. We each put our ingredients into the soup and we are all fed and nourished. We all have arms to wrap around each other. What is your contribution to the soup? Do you know someone else who has talents and flavors that you may not fully possess that you want in your soup? What can you learn or borrow from your community to add to your soup? Our lives, regardless of conditions, are one with the divine and with each other. There can be no separation, for we are all created from the same spiritual essence. A unified wholeness is the pattern of life, the very energy in which all expressions live, move, have their being. In The Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes states, life is one perfect wholeness. The universe is a unit. God is one. If God is one, and we are all part of this community, we are all pieces and parts, very, very important pieces and parts. We all have something to add to the soup, every one of us. Ernest Holmes says, since there is but one spirit, and this spirit is in you and in everything, then everywhere you go, you will meet spirit. You meet this spirit in people, in places, in things. I'd like to add experiences, in community. Even in our biggest challenges, we're meeting right there with God. Imagine that each of us is a spoke in an infinite wheel, and though each spoke is essential in keeping the wheel whole, no two spokes are the same. The rim of that wheel is our living sense of community, family, and relationship. But the common home hub where all the spokes join is the one center where all souls meet. Where all souls meet, God, Spirit, the divine, infinite intelligence, all the same thing, all the same place. Disagreeing on what to call it doesn't change it. Again, another civil conversation to have. But it doesn't change what is at the center of your being or my being or any other being that we meet. It's all good because it's all God. Learning to live this truth is at the center of our teaching. It is what the world needs in order to create a world that works for all. If we can see each other, if we can believe that I am the place where God shows up, and Christine is the place, and Russ is the place, and my husband Wesley that showed up today is the place, and each and every being in this room is a place where God is showing up, and we are creating the most beautiful of communities. We are growing the most beautiful of communities by believing that in each and every moment. So, John Kabat-Zinn, to drop into being means to recognize your interconnectedness with all of life and with being the being itself. I think he's talking about that spirit of God that we're talking about. Your very nature is being part of a larger and larger sphere of wholeness. Now, I really love all of John Kabat-Zinn's work. So you'll hear his name often if I'm around for long. Dropping into being is that recognition of your true nature, what we have been talking about all along, being the place where God shows up. And everyone here is that place. Everyone here is interconnected in such a way that the community is incomplete without any one of us. We are an integral part of the whole. Without Russell today, we wouldn't have had announcements. With Ken, no music. Without our beautiful hospitality team, no treats and coffee afterwards. Without each of you, there is no community. And community is what our souls long for. Community is what we need the very most. Not just the community of New Dawn, but the community of the city, of the state, of the whole planet is one big community. And when we start seeing even those people that challenge us as a place where God is showing up, then we can be whole ourselves. We can't be whole if we can't believe it for everyone else. That's why we have Saturday morning playlists and affirmations and a daily spiritual practice time. So what do we do now to live into that wholeness? I have a few suggestions. To see the good in all, we begin by recognizing the spark of divinity at the center of our own being. It is knowing ourselves as whole and complete, an expression of the one life of God, that we allow spiritual truth to underscore our relationships. The one who actively courts this presence and love of spirit has the holy vantage point from which to hold their sisters, their brothers, and others. I loved the way your prayer went today, speaking of us as brothers and sisters without knowing what I would say. I would say that's that infinite intelligence at work. We become soul companions in tune with another along the journey. First, we need to accept this truth for ourselves. Then it is easier for others at the same time. You do that with your daily practice. You can also do it by seeing yourself when you're being less than what you expect of yourself, and earnestly apologize to yourself and promise to do better and forgive yourself for having a human moment. In the spirit of the declaration attributed to Gandhi, be the change you wish to see in the world. We can be a friend to others we want to have in our own life. We can recognize the wholeness in others by reaching out and feeling the harmony that comes from acting with love, kindness, and friendship. Cultivating beautiful friendships, beautiful relationships is a surefire way to see the goodness in all. It's a surefire way to see the goodness in all humanity. Because it is there, I see it every day. And I'm sure if you reflect a bit, you can see that you see it every day too. Look for good news stories. Pet a puppy. Smile at a child. Offer a senior assistance for a top shelf grocery store item. Recognize the good that is in your world. When infinite presence thought each of us into being, it did not discriminate. It didn't hold anything back from any one of us. It poured its complete goodness into each of us just the same. The divine created us all differently, but he created every person on the planet from the same pattern of perfection and instilled in us the energy, the beauty, and love of its own authentic heart. Witnessing the good in another is not an anomaly. It is the reason we were given each other, to see the love of God up close. How do we do that in our day-to-day life? How do we check ourselves on it? Sometimes I'm just going to hum that song, but I'll sing it the other way. That Sharon is the place where God shows up. Yeah, right? That each and every one of us is the place where God shows up. I think that as we move forward today, tomorrow, through this entire holiday season, when we can all feel a little challenged, a little too speedy up, a little too busy, a little too drawn, maybe feeling the scarcity, maybe feeling the financial pressures. If we can just lean into what we know best, that we're a place where God shows up and it's all going to be fine. When we take the time to slow down just a bit, to notice the goodness in ourselves, to notice the goodness in each other, to remember what the holiday season is really all about. Jesus the Christ preached love above and beyond everything else. He preached love. And if we remember that that is why we celebrate Christmas, if we remember that that is why these holiday seasons happened for us, then we are truly living the purpose that God set out for us to live. So let's have a prayer. In this holy, sacred, beautiful moment of now, I know and affirm for myself, I know and I affirm for each and every being in this room that they are the place where God shows up. They are the people, the beautiful people that are doing God's very holy work of loving each other, of loving their community, of loving outside of these walls. And I know as we move through this bustling holiday season, that as we remember our own wholeness and we recognize the wholeness in each and every being out there, everyone we come in contact with, that this amazing holiday season will turn into a bigger love fest than we had ever imagined. It will be filled with joy and community and love. And I know as each and every person in this room moves forward through the rest of this day, through the rest of the week, until we meet again next Sunday, that they have their tools in their spiritual toolbox. They can create their own Saturday morning playlist and call it whatever they like, or write those affirmations that they truly need to hear. And above all, take time for that daily spiritual practice so they don't get hangry. I know that all is well because all is God. I know that as we close out this service today, this beautiful community of love and light will flourish. We'll smile at each other a little differently, knowing that they are a place where God shows up. So I thank God, I thank Spirit for this opportunity to share what was on my heart this week. And I thank you all for supporting New Dawn in this way. And knowing that it's all good, it's all so. I release it, I let it go, I let it be. And so it is.
There's a new church on the horizon, made of light, not of stone, calling out to all creation, you are not alone. Lions and lambs, saints and sinners, best of friends, enemies, woman and man, saints and sinners, they are all in you and me. For we are one heart, looking for answers. We are one soul, finding our way through the dark. One dream we share together. We are all a part of one heart. Out in the cold, there are faces hidden by the wind and rain. Hold out your hand, someone who'll take it and bring you home again. Yes, we are one heart, looking for answers. We are one soul, finding our way through the dark. One dream we share together. We are all a part of one heart. Around the world tonight, those fires are burning. Tears are falling from the sky. Still the world keeps turning. We are one heart, one soul, one dream we share together. We are all a part. Yes, we are one heart, looking for answers. We are one soul, finding our way through the dark. One dream we share together. We are all a part of one heart. Ooh. So we are one, yes, we are all a part of one heart.
Hello, I'm Reverend Jen Wild, Senior Minister for New Dawn Center for Spiritual Living. New Dawn Center is a global community, and we welcome all people, all paths, all ways of thinking, all philosophies. So know that you are welcome here, and thank you for joining our online community.